And they're off the South End pop-up businesses, homes around the track.
It's not my first rodeo here, but still as old as I am now, it gets harder every year.
For more than 50 years, some homeowners within walking distance of Churchill Downs have made a bonanza on parking cars. What did they charge 50 years ago? You'll find out. Plus,
well, there we go. A little drama right out of the way. Forte.
The favorite for Derby 149 lands in a sweet spot. And that's not all the good luck for trainer Todd Pletcher at the post position draw. And happening tonight, the Republican candidates for Kentucky governor take some swipes at each other in a new primary debate tonight. It's all new, coming your way on the WHAS11 Night Team. And tonight on this Monday of Derby Week, there is another Derby underway. We're talking about the race of South Enders getting ready to cash in big time on Derby Week. Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining us on the WHAS 11 Night Team. I'm Doug Proffitt. From yards to becoming parking lots to Metro Public Health tonight at the track, checking in with food vendors. WHAS 11 Night Team's Taylor Woods and our photojournalist Ian Hardwick are live right now outside Churchill Downs, where tomorrow is going to be the kickoff to the beginning of racing this week. Hi, Taylor.
Hey, Doug. Well, tonight the light is shining bright on the Twin Spires, where the horses are set to meet in the morning to prepare for the big races this week. But this view is what neighbors who live nearby get to see every day.
Tired, too much to do to get ready.
Churchill Down neighbors are preparing for Derby Week.
Well, let's see, power wash the deck, power wash chairs, clean doors, clean windows, vacuum, clean bathroom, move cars.
It's a South End tradition. Moving cars and clearing yards have become very common for many neighbors who live within walking distance of the track, especially for Nova Jackson.
I've been doing it for 54 years. And when we started out, we charged $2 a car.
She will tell you those prices have gone up.
I know that some people get upwards of $100 a day to park this close.
It's all about the size of the vehicle, which determines how many can be parked in a single yard.
You get smaller cars, you can put more, usually about 17.
People come to park from all over the country.
From Cleveland, Ohio, Lockport, New York.
Georgia, we've had Kansas, we've had them from everywhere here.
While neighbors are making room for their yards to be lots, the Metro Health and Wellness Department is training food vendors about safety to keep you from getting sick from any foodborne illness.
It's real important because you have more people, of course, that'll come out to the event. So we want to make sure everybody's safe.
But these horse bettors are remaining hopeful about their bets this year.
Oh, I'm looking forward to Brad Cox to win the Derby.
Forte, is the favorite and looks the strongest. But last year at 80-1, Rich Strike came in, and so you just don't know.
But for now, they know the surest bet is their front yard. And those neighbors say it's all about securing parking early to get the best spot near Churchill Downs. And tomorrow is the first ever 5-0 Tuesday, with the first race starting at 12:45 p.m. tomorrow at Churchill Downs. So make sure you grab your $5 general admission ticket and come on down and enjoy the first ever 5-0 Tuesday. Reporting live at Churchill Downs, I'm Taylor Woods for the WHAS 11 Night Team on your side.
It is not going to be long before we hear the real call to the post for the big race, this year's Kentucky Derby this week. Of course, coming up on Saturday, but this afternoon it was the call for the post position draws. The favorite for the Derby. Well, last year the favorite didn't win, but in past years we've been on a roll with the favorites. So let's get the morning line odds that have been set, always subject to change, from our sports director Ken Spencer, who covered the post position draw today. Ken?
The two positions perceived the top contenders for Derby 149 desperately wanted to avoid were, of course, the one.
Number one.
There has not been a winner out of that post since Ferdinand in 1986, and the 17, who's never produced a winner in the Kentucky Derby. The favorite, Forte, drew the 15 post. The same gate American Pharaoh came out of in 2015. Also, Orb, who was the favorite that was a closer, just like Forte, that won the Derby in 2013. Tapit Trice, the second betting choice, is in Gate 5, who's produced the most wins of any post position at 10. Angel of Empire, the third betting choice, draws the 14. Only 2 winners out of that gate, the last coming in 1961. I asked a few of the traders if they just focus on their horses or actually look to see where they think their toughest competition ended up.
The draw can be very important for how the race is run and how much speed is shown. And, you know, some guys maybe with some speed draw outside. The Japanese horse is interesting because he came in off a wire-to-wire win in the UAE Derby from an outside post. He's probably going to try to show a little positional speed. So, yeah, the post position can affect, I think, how the pace of the race develops.
Todd's horses drew really well. Obviously, he's got the top 2 favorites in Forte and Tapestry, and it looked like they drew very well. So, you know, you kind of, in practical move, drew well. I think he got the 10 hole. So, we're kind of watching everybody and kind of see, and also seeing where the speed's going to come from.
My main thing was I wanted to be anywhere from the 7 to the 10 in that area, in that vicinity, and I got those posts.
No, it's a great position. You know, in the middle somewhere is really good. So very happy with the post position.
John Sheriffs won the Derby with Giacomo back in 2005. Now, coming up a little later in sports, we'll take you through the entire field for Derby 149, plus a look at the field for the 149th running of the Kentucky Oaks.
Good old Giacomo, 50-1, got a lot of people out of debt that year if they had bet him.
And just like that year and like last year, it proves you could be a long shot. You just got to get in the field and you got a shot.
Yeah, like last year. Here, Rich Strike comes out of nowhere, the 20th post position draw. I'll never forget that. And wins the Derby, upset the Derby last year.
You know, it's like Brad Cox said today, and he's actually said it a few times. You know, you get a couple jockeys, a couple horses that are really eager. They get that pace up, and it can burn some horses out that want to be forwardly placed. So we're talking about the closers, a horse like Forte, a horse like Angel of Empire. Something like that happening on Saturday would desperately play in those horses' hands.
The track ought to be better conditions Saturday after rain on Friday.
75 and sunny.
75 and sunny. Okay, thank you very much, Kent. He'll have the weather a little later, too. Our Oaks and Derby coverage begins Friday with a special edition of WHAS 11 News in the afternoon, beginning at 3. Then join us for our live coverage from the Kentucky Derby Museum on Friday, taking a closer look at the history and the future of Churchill Downs, sharing the stories behind the contenders and showing you all the excitement out from the track. Again, that's at 3 p.m. on Friday. New tonight on the night team, a Louisville teenager has pleaded guilty to driving drunk and causing a deadly crash in October of 2021. Today, 19-year-old Jose Mencho Orozco pleaded guilty to charges including manslaughter and driving under the influence. The Commonwealth's Attorney's Office says the teen was driving the wrong way on I-65 when he crashed into another car head-on. 22-year-old Dua Lutfi was killed, and others in the car were hurt. Mencho Orozco's blood alcohol level at the time was more than 3 times the legal limit. Prosecutors have recommended that he spend 32 years in jail. He'll be sentenced on June 15th. Dozens of people marched through Old Louisville tonight to take a stand against anti-trans legislation recently passed here in Kentucky. Again, the march tonight through Old Louisville focusing on SB 150, Senate Bill 150, which bans access on gender-affirming health care, restricts bathroom access, and bans discussion of sexual orientation and gender identity in the schools. The Louisville Democratic Socialists of America co-hosted the march and block party, which aimed to teach people about the law and its impact. Lawmakers passed the bill overriding Governor Andy Beshear's veto, saying they believe parents should have more say over what's taught in the schools. In Indiana, Governor Eric Holcomb signed 68 bills into law today, among them a bill to fund firearms safety training for teachers who want to bring a gun to school. The new law would pay for a specific training curriculum for those teachers, and they would be required to have 40 hours of the specified training and undergo a psychological evaluation. And happening all new tonight, from education to the economy and gun control. Tonight, 5 Republican candidates for Kentucky governor shared their plans for the state if they were elected. Attorney General Daniel Cameron, former Ambassador Kelly Craft, former Attorney Eric Dieters, the Somerset, Kentucky Mayor Alan Keck, and Agriculture Commissioner Ryan Quarles participated in the debate tonight on KET. In light of last month's mass shooting at Old National Bank in downtown Louisville, the candidates were asked whether they would support gun control reforms.
No, I don't support any sort of gun control. Second Amendment is sacrosanct, and we need to make sure that we protect it for Kentuckians all across the Commonwealth.
I'm not touching the Second Amendment and due process. we need to make certain that we follow the rules that are currently written, and we have to open the conversation of mental health, of mental illness.
That I am sick and tired of the gun violence that happens, where the violence comes from those shooting and the people that are being shot are not armed.
I do think we have an olive branch on murder weapons. I think it's insane that those are being sold to the highest bidder.
What we do need more is more gun safety training, especially for those that grow up learning about the Second Amendment. It's about personal protection. It's about hunting as well. I'm a big hunter myself.
Kentucky's primary election is just a few weeks away. It is Tuesday, May 16th. Tomorrow, by the way, voters in Indiana will be heading to the polls for their primary election. Most races will focus on city offices. Polls will be open from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. tomorrow in Indiana. Remember, if you're in line at 6 p.m., you will be allowed to vote. The nominees from each party will face off in the general election on November 7th. When football returns this fall, several players at several JCPS schools will be playing on brand new artificial turf fields. Today, the superintendent, Marty Polio, announced the fields will be installed at 16 high schools over the next 3 years. New tracks, bleachers, press boxes, and concession stands will also be included in these major upgrades.
And I just want to thank everyone that made it possible, to know that I can perform and practice on my own home field and track.
We're very proud of what this is going to look like and excited to play here.
Another 5 schools will get new stadiums when the district builds their new buildings. That's expected to happen in the next 10 years.